Well, welcome one and all in one. Hope you can hear me because I don't know. Maybe you couldn't hear the intro, but nevertheless, we are doing this. We're doing it live. Welcome back to a new edition of And the Podcast Will Rock. That's right. It is that time once again where we are going to break down the entire album that we have finished and rank them accordingly. And this time, as you can see, it is the debut of Sammy taking the reins of the band with 5150. I am your co-host Mark Kamira. With me, as always, Corey Morissette. Corey, are you feeling feisty? Are you feeling ready to rock tonight?
Oh, absolutely. I've been looking forward to this one. 5150, that's one of my gateway albums. I started with 1984 and then right into 5150. So I was looking forward to this live show for quite a while. So we had to, of course, bring in an all-star panel again, including over right beside me here, the one and only legendary Chris L. from Pot of Thunder joins us once again. How are you doing tonight, Chris?
Doing great. I'm excited about this one. I think I've built up the sort of false reputation of being a Sammy hater. So I'm going to poke holes in that theory throughout the episode tonight, and also substantiate that theory with some of my opinions. But yeah, this was a highly anticipated album back in the day, and definitely one that I bought as soon as it came out, and I'm looking forward to talking about it with you guys.
Awesome. I know for everybody who sent in rankings, everybody pretty much said the same thing in the email, like this was really hard. So a lot of people struggled with their rankings here tonight. Joining us as well, wearing glasses tonight for the first time. Kelsey, how's it going, Kelsey?
Yeah, I just got these. I'm doing good. How are you guys? I'm excited to be here.
Yes, you're a big Sammy gal. 5150. That's got to be a pretty big record for you.
Oh yeah, one of my first songs that I heard was Best of Both Worlds by Van Halen. My mom showed me. My mom's a Sammy gal too, but I would say I'm pretty split down the middle. If people ask me, I usually say Dave, but the more I listen to Van Halen, the more Sammy grows on me. So, yeah, this was fun. It was real fun to rank these. I literally sat and listened to the whole thing while I was ranking it and kept moving shit around. It was really hard, but yeah, I love this album. This is a great album.
I pretty much did the same too. My rankings changed a lot over the last week. And as always on these live shows, we invite a couple of our Patreons on the show. You can join the show if you like at www.patreon.com/podcastwillrock. And maybe you'll be lucky enough to join the panel here tonight with our friends Brad Gould in the bottom right corner there on Hollywood Squares. How's it going, Brad?
What's up, Brad?
Going great. So excited to be back. And I wore these in honor of Kelsey. So
Twins.
That's right. We're often mistaken for each other.
Yeah, exactly. I hear it all the time.
And in the Paul Lynde Square, I believe, is the one and only Kevin Brown. How you doing tonight, Kevin?
Good, mate. All these Hollywood Square. I don't know who Paul Lynde is. I don't know what you're talking about. I just lack the cultural.
Square.
Oh, you need to dive into some reels on Instagram. You'll be in that rabbit hole for hours. Highly recommended, though. Some comedy gems in that bunch.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, I shall check it out. I'm looking forward to talking about 5150, though. It's the album that got me into the band. So this is a pretty special album for me.
And no worries, Chris. People think I'm a David Lee Roth hater just because I think Sammy has the superior technical voice. So I'm right there with you. There's no winning. There's no winning in that argument, no matter how you shake it.
Jay in the chat says these guys need to do a Boston podcast. All six of us? Hell, I'm down if you guys want to do one. Let's do a Boston
like the
podcast.
Band Boston
Yeah.
or the city? Because I don't know how I would go about doing a City of Boston podcast.
Yeah, you don't want me on a City of Boston podcast. You think I hate Australia? Wait till you get me going on Boston.
Oh boy.
So,
all right. Well, maybe just before we get going, let's go around the horn. Maybe just tell us about 5150 and how it kind of came into your life. Obviously some people on the call are old enough to remember 1986. Kelsey specifically is not. So let's start with the oldest member of the panel. That's Kevin Brown, 76 years young this year. Kevin, fantastic stuff.
Get him.
Absolute wanker. It's just
Oh.
non-stop with this guy. I don't know why I bother. Yeah, so my best friend growing up was a guitarist. His his brother played guitar. He was a huge Van Halen fan. He listened to tons of different bands, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, Wishbone Ash, Blue Oyster Cult, all these different bands he got me into. And I remember when he played me 5150 and specifically the song, I was like, holy shit, who is this? Because I'd heard Jump. I must have heard Jumper on the radio, so I was kind of aware of Van Halen more or less. But 5150 was the first time I sort of pricked my ears up and thought, well, this guy's different. This guy can play it, and just fell in love with the album and sort of built out from there. So my experience was Sammy first, and then catching up with Dave later, which, you know, your entry point tends to inform your preference. But going with the show, and I've said this plenty of times on the show before, going back and discovering a lot of those old Dave tracks that I sort of dismissed and sloughed off. And it's like, holy shit, there's a lot of gold in there. So I'm pretty much, I'd say 55-45 Sammy Dave at the moment.
Awesome. Brad, how about you? How did you get indoctrinated with 5150?
Well, it's probably my intro to Van Halen when I started really paying attention to it. So to make some of you feel old and some of you feel young, I was 10 when it came out, right? So before then, whatever. Like I thought the David Lee Roth videos were, campy and stuff and kind of fun. But when I started getting into Van Halen, particularly when I was in high school band and middle school band and started listening to more groups that could actually play instruments and sing, and as opposed to, playing for tracks, I really fell into them. And then, of course, OU812 came behind that. And then I think Fuck came out while I was in high school, and that just sort of solidified it. So sort of like Kevin said, I really started out more Sammy than anything else because of when I started listening to them in a more serious way. But I'd say I'm probably 51-49 between the two of them. So.
All right. How about you, Kelsey?
Well, like I said, my mother showed me Best of Both Worlds, and I remember like being absolutely infatuated with that song, how great the guitar sounded in that song. Of course, I was in love with Betty before I even knew. And other than that, like, I don't know, this album is crazy. And I mean, 1986 was a great year. I don't know what you're talking about, the fact I wasn't there or whatever, but no, I don't know, Summer Nights, I remember like the first time I heard that song. That's still like if people ask me like what my favorite Van Halen song is, I always say that's my favorite Sammy song. That song is so good. There is literally nothing like watching a sunset. It's middle of July. You may or may not be over a lake, like, because I worked at a restaurant that was on the lake, and I purposely added that song to the playlist. And so I don't know. There's nothing like hearing that song. When I saw Sammy, they didn't play that, but before he came on stage, they played it over the speakers, and I was like, oh my God. And I know everyone loves to tear Love Walks In to shreds, but I'm absolutely obsessed with that song. So like, yeah, it was hard. And I've been listening to Inside the past few days because I like reawakened my love for that song. I was like, oh my God, I forgot about this one. So
Now, Chris, you alluded to this before we started recording here tonight. You've kind of got yourself a reputation as being a Sammy hater. Maybe it's because the only, I believe, Van Halen song from the Sammy era you covered on Pot of Thunder was Up for Breakfast, which is not his best representation of his time in Van Halen.
No, and we picked it for that exact reason. It was an intentional pick, but no, I mean, for my history with Van Halen, as I got on board somewhere between 2 and Women and Children First, so leading up to 1986, I'd been consuming Van Halen albums as they were coming out. Just each one was just seemed better than the last, more exciting. In retrospect, I rank them differently in that. But again, once you're on that train and it just starts, keeps barreling forward. Every new release is just massively exciting. And then, of course, the seismic development of Roth leaving the band, everybody was just like, what are they going to do next? And then, and all the music magazines releasing news that Sammy was going to be the new singer. And, in 86 was the tail end of my first year in college. And, I landed on a floor in the dorm with a bunch of other guys who were into, hard rock and hair metal and stuff. And that was also in the eras of the huge component stereos. Everybody in the dorm wanted to have a bigger, louder stereo than the next guy. And we're constantly battling with each other in that respect. But we were all looking forward to what Van Halen was going to sound like with the new singer, and not just some random nobody, but somebody that we were all familiar with. And so the build up to it was, again, hugely exciting, even though we were, a guy like me, who I would say I'm a 90-10 Dave guy. Just because of when fairly recently, maybe a couple of years ago, there was something going on around on Twitter, list your top 20 Van Halen songs. Only 2 Sammy songs made it onto my top 20, so that's how I come up with 90-10. But we were all excited to hear what it was going to sound like, and we just couldn't wait to just pop it on our huge component stereos and just blow the windows out of the dorms with it. We weren't disappointed when it finally came out.
Perfect. Mark, how about you? I know obviously we've covered every song on 5150 once here off the wheel, and we uploaded every single song except one. So what was your first experience with 5150? I think you're muted.
It would probably be from the fact that the song Dreams came into my life at a very, very early age. 86 was just right before me, just to give you a glimpse into how young or old I am. So a lot of my very, very young upbringing, if Van Halen was played, it was likely played of the Sammy Hagar era, because, he was just in the band at that time. But as I've mentioned multiple times, there was never not a time that I can recall, that a lot of people can recall, where Van Halen wasn't played on the radio, and especially some of their past hits. So the Dave era I grew up with, of course, and then of course a lot of the Sammy stuff, because that was happening in real time as I was a small boy. But yeah, of course I didn't know at the time when I was a kid that they're on the 5150 album, and that's a fact. I just heard Dreams a lot, and that song seemed to kind of follow me over the years, whether it was a random appearance in a movie I watched, or if it was just on the radio, or the fact that my parents are really big into Sammy Hagar, so anytime there was an excuse to crank Sammy, whether he was in doing solo or in Van Halen, it was gonna get cranked. So that is my earliest memory of what would be my thoughts on 5150, was just that song's introduction and how it played into being a part of my life, kind of indirectly for a while. And then of course I got to really get to know it through the journey of this show. I mean, obviously I've heard some tracks in the years since prior to this show, but didn't really give 5150 its full listen run through from starting at the beginning all the way through until we've made it to this podcast. So that is, I guess, that's a very long answer to a short question.
Well, aside from the 6 of us here, we also have folks in the chat. One of whom you guys might remember goes by the name of Chaz Charles. Sometimes he's an avatar when he's on these shows. He's also known for having some pretty ridiculous takes. In the chat, he says, "Up for Breakfast is misunderstood." To that, I say, I agree. I don't know what the fuck he's singing about, because he has shit like... like the cherries don't go on the banana.
All right.
Come on. Misunderstood.
What's not to understand about Up for Breakfast?
It's still not the worst song lyrically I've ever heard in my life. So let's just put that on record.
Shudder to think what is, but anyway,
There's a lot. There are many.
I'm sure Chris could throw out something by ELO.
See, why do you got to go there, man? Why
You're right, yeah, you're
why
right.
do you got to ruin my Friday night?
I'm
We're
sorry.
having
buddy,
a
I'm
good
sorry.
time, Corey. Don't go there
Yeah,
yet.
Jesus, man.
All right. Well, how about we
Too
listen to
soon for
some Van Halen then? You guys up for that?
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
That'll work.
So, just to explain to the folks who maybe haven't caught one of these live shows before, what we do is after we've finished off on our show, which we put every single Van Halen song on a wheel, we spin the wheel every single week. We talk about whatever song comes up. We're not experts. We're just kind of rediscovering the catalog as we've been going through this journey and kind of learning along with everybody. But as we finish off an album, we do one of these live shows. And what we do there is we actually poll our patrons. Again, you can join our Patreon, Podcast Will Rock, and you can get your rankings included as well. We poll all of them. We poll some special guests, like we have our friends like Chris L. from Pot of Thunder, Eric Senich from the Van Halen News Desk, the Sean Geek and Fast Fret Boys. The guys from the Bogus Oda Show submitted a together ballot again this time, and we just rank the songs 1 through 9. And then what I do is I compile all the votes, and we come here tonight, we play little snippets of the song, and we talk about them and where they officially rank. These are like the official show rankings for And the Podcast Will Rock for the album 5150. So if everybody's ready, I have a pretty good idea people are going to guess what number 9 is. Anybody want to shout
I
it
have a
out?
good- I would assume number 9 is, for at least most people, would probably be the track Inside.
Well, you're exactly right. Track number 9 is Inside. Let's take a look at it here. Total points 45, which is really, really low. I can't remember which one off the Fuck album was last, but it had 80 or 70 some points. So Inside did not do well at all. Its highest ranking was 3rd on one person's ballot. One person ranked it 3rd. The lowest ranking was 9th. 17 people, or there's 27 ballots, so 17 of them listed Inside as the worst song on the record. The most votes, obviously, again, 17th. And the audience, when we did our audience polls, ranked this one 9th as well. And this is actually the only song on the album that the audience poll ranked negatively. So it's 33% What Dreams Are Made Of, and 66% The Dream Is Over. So outside, Kelsey, you talked about listening to this one quite a bit. You ranked this one number 8.
Yes. That's one of those things, like we were talking about how hard it is to rank this album. I'm not too familiar with it, but like when I first started listening to Sammy era, this was on my list, and I actually listened to this on my way home today. I had this on in the car, and I was like, the song's groovy. So I don't know what y'all talking about. I love this song. It's different. It's not very Van Halen. Like I get that, so I understand why people like maybe didn't. But I do like this song. I think it's just like one of those. I was driving down the highway. I was like, hell yeah.
It's definitely got a groove to it. You can't deny that. And just because it's 9th doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad song. Just 8 other songs on the record ranked ahead of it.
Are better.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that just because the fact that, full disclosure, Inside was my number 9 as well, and it only because it's the one track throughout the whole album that sort of feels a bit, dare I say, inconsistent with the other tracks, or maybe not even, maybe inconsistent is not the word, but whatever it is, there's something about it that doesn't quite jive with the rest of the tracks. And but that is, again, not to say that Inside is a bad song. I think this was the one song I voted down on 5150 in our initial run through, but as we were going through the as I was trying to figure out my rankings for this, I just assumed Inside would be last, but I still gave it a listen. I had a better time listening to it recently than I guess I did when we covered it on the show. So, because I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's a bad song. I think Kelsey's right. It's got a really cool groove. It's just a little bit too different based on how the rest of the album sounds, and it's not that it doesn't slap as a Van Halen track. It just slaps less than the 8 other ones on 5150 for me, and that's why it was 9 on my list.
My experience was quite similar, Mark, in that the more I was listening to it, the more I kind of dig it. I downvoted it too when we first did it on the show way back when. It was one of the first 5150 songs I think we did.
Oh,
but yeah, it's got a real groove to it, and Yeah, I don't hate it. It's just I like 8 songs better. Chris L., I believe you had this one ranked 9th as well.
Yeah, had it at the bottom. Remember back in the day, I mean, it's the last track on the album, and I remember when everybody started getting the whole album. By the time we'd gotten through the other 8 tracks, and then we get to this one, it was a little like exactly what other people have said. It was just like a little too out there, a little too different from the rest of the album, and after hearing the other 8 tracks, we just wanted to turn the album over and start over again, basically. And so I think I probably made it through this song all the way maybe twice back in the day and never really listened to it again. And I did the same thing that other people did. I revisited it recently when I was doing the rankings, and it was better than I remembered it, but it kind of comes off to me as like trying too hard to capture, like to bring over some of that David Lee Roth goofiness into the new incarnation, and that just seemed kind of forced and not natural. And then, like, just to reiterate, everything leading up to it was so much better that, like, about a minute or two in the inside, it's like, yeah, let's flip it over and start over again. And that's just kind of how it was when we would listen to it, and we just never made it through the whole album back in the day. Like, I don't remember ever listening to this song all the way through with like other guys who were getting into the album. We just were like, okay, flip it back over, start it again. So
yeah, fair enough. We talked about Chaz. He's the guy who had this ranked 3rd on his rankings. Wow. His comment is, "Inside fucking rocks. So much fun. They really groove hard and really tell you what's up with them. They're having so much fun. Just listen for fuck's sakes."
Oh, I did quite thoroughly. And again, it's not that it doesn't slap; it just slaps less than the others for me.
Yeah. Jay in the chat says, "Inside is just a weird song for Van Halen. Seems like something that would be on Van Halen 3, which Scott points out, except on 3, it never sounds like they're having any fun." Which, yeah.
That is unfortunately true.
It's something that Chris said there, though, too. Like, I that's exactly what I'd thought going back and listening again. It's almost like an overcorrection.
Yeah.
Because there's quite a lot of earnestness on this record, because that's what Sam does, sometimes a little bit too much for people, but it does feel like they want to get a bit of levity into proceedings, and that's kind of what this song is supposed to be, I think. Because what was the outtake that you guys listened to with the McGinnity Boys? There was an unreleased track from these sessions, right? And I thought that was an absolute banger.
Yeah.
But it was sort of a bit more of the same, where I think Inside is meant to sort of be that one Van Halen track that's weird, because they quite often have that on an album. So
yeah, I remember that track, because we all mentioned that they should maybe worked on that and not bothered with Inside.
Yeah.
But I forget the name. Someone in the chat's going to correct me. But Brad, why don't you finish up this round here and tell us why you ranked Inside 9th?
So as a general rule, I don't like to bash a creative for their work. So, they took the time to put this together, and I don't want to dog it. I'm going to make a pretty bold comment. Mark's called out some of my bold comments before. I would say you take this song off the album. This is this is Van Halen's Back in Black, because every other song on this album is a banger, start to finish, and then you got this thing. Is it a cool groove? Yeah. But Sammy's opening lyric is, "What kind of crap is this?" And it kind of sounds like an R&B track broke out on a Van Halen album. And there's nothing wrong with R&B. They're just sort of jamming, all that little background chatter. It's just sort of all over the place. And I just feel like you take this thing off and you have an album as good as 1 and 2.
So I don't disagree with that assessment.
And Jeff Brewer in the chat helped me out here. And actually, he posted it in Discord. I should have known this, but I Want Some Action was the name of that song. Thank you very much, Jeff. Okay. And one thing Chaz had said earlier, before we move on from Inside, I wanted to ask Chris and then Mark real quick, as the guitar players really on the panel here. Chaz says he ranked his songs based on how much fun they are to play. Listening to Inside, do you get the impression that would be a lot of fun to play on guitar?
If you are a guitarist, probably, because first, I mean, playing just about any Van Halen song as a guitarist, you're probably thinking it's like, this is fun, just because Eddie Van Halen's going to give you some interesting things to play on guitar if you're trying to play one of his songs. He's not going to make it boring. And even the times where you might think, oh, this is a boring guitar part, is like, it's not really, because consider the source of who created it. So I don't doubt it. I guess I confess I didn't really listen to the song with like the guitar brain on to really feel like, to put myself in that position of, I wonder what that would feel like to play this on guitar. Like usually I do that for other Van Halen songs. I didn't do it for this one. So Chaz could be absolutely correct. However you feel about the song, as a guitar player, it might be very fun to play. I will take his word for it on that. And then maybe Chris, did anything about Inside, does it stand out to you as something that would be fun to play on guitar?
I mean, it's the band itself. You can tell they're having fun, but to be honest with you, I back in the day, I never made it through the whole thing,
Right.
and up until recently this week, I listened to it just to be prepared for this episode, and I wasn't really paying attention to it, so I honestly don't even have a comment on it. But I mean, to your point, if Eddie Van Halen's on and he's playing guitar, it's going to be fun in terms of, it's a challenge to learn it.
Mhm.
And also gives you a glimpse into just, his unique creativity. I mean, anything he's ever done has just got his own flair to it. So in that
Absolutely.
respect, it would be totally fun. But to be honest with you, I don't remember a damn thing about it. But I don't remember what happened to me 5 minutes ago either. So
Same.
yeah.
Well, we'll see if you remember song number 8. This one was actually one of the big surprises for me when I was compiling all the rankings here, because it was a single.
Uh-oh.
And it's one of Kelsey's favorites. Already she's not happy. Number 8, Love Walks In. There we go. Total points, 83. Its highest ranking was 3rd, which was Miss Kelsey. Lowest ranking was 9th. 5 people ranked this one as the worst or least favorite track on 5150. Its most popular placing was 8th. 7 people ranked it 8th. And the audience also had this one ranked 8th when they were doing the poll. It was 75.9% What Dreams Are Made Of, 24.1% The Dream Is Over. Kelsey, Love Walks In at number 3. I bet you don't agree with the placement here.
No, but I really expected it, to be honest. Everyone dogs on this song, but I don't know. This song is so dreamy. I remember the first time I put this on in my car and I was like, is this Van Halen? But I don't know. I love this song. I think it's really good. And everyone's like, oh, it's stupid. It's about alien abduction. And I'm like, yeah, but if you don't think about it like that, it's a really great, I don't know. It's really, I don't know. I love this song. Anytime this comes on, I feel like I'm in a movie. I'm just the production of this song and the way Eddie's playing and even the solo is really good. But yeah, I just this is one of my favorites. This is near and dear to my heart, and I will defend it until the end of time. I love this song.
Awesome. All right. Well, Kevin Brown, you want to break her heart and tell her why you had it ranked 7th?
All right, boot him.
Well, just as everyone said, you've got to rank them somehow, right? And I mean, apart from Inside, everything else I love on this album. And I was a nerdy little virgin teenager who played keyboards, so I kind of dig the keyboard stuff that Eddie was doing, right? And not only does he play guitar better than almost anyone else, he writes really interesting synth parts, and I think it's cool. I was thinking about this today, though, as I was listening through again. I think this song would have sounded way cooler if it had R. Waits production on it. Again, 5150 suffers a little bit on the drum sound here and there. I think if it sounded a bit more like R. Waits, because it's got that minor key thing going on, I think it'd be super cool. And I didn't know this was about aliens until fairly recently. I think listening to your podcast, Corey, I didn't know, so I didn't get that vibe.
We were a little harsh.
We all accept that. So
yeah, we were a little harsh on the alien lyrics and meaning during the show, but really the alien angle never really bothered me in this song.
Nah.
How about you, Brad? You had this one ranked kind of high. This was number 5 for you.
Yeah, so indulge me just for a second on this, because I want to say what Kevin said, the rest of this album, it's how thin are you going to slice the rankings? Because I think on any given moment, this could be higher or lower. But I'm going to say it. This is my favorite song on the album, but it's not the best song on the album. And I have this thing when the live album came out, okay? The live version of this, I think Eddie's solo might be the most beautiful thing he has ever played. You know, that's recorded. And it's just an amazing solo. But this particular song, sometime in college, it was the last thing I heard before an exam that I took, that I did not expect to do well. And I nailed it. Every exam I have ever taken through law school, my bar exam, my CPA exam, it is the last thing I listened to, along with a little plastic alligator that my friend got when he went to the Sugar Bowl and the Gators won, and he borrowed my coat and I found it in the pocket. That sits on my table. I listen to the song and I take care of business. So I've just got a love for the song. Is it the best thing on the album? No, but I love it. So.
All right, Chris L., I believe you had this one 8th.
I did. So here's my issue with Love Walks In. First of all, I do want to say, listen, I mean, production is outstanding. Sounds great. The performances are great. The lyrical thing, I mean, I remember hearing the word alien in there. I didn't make that connection. I just thought it was a love song, which is fine.
Yeah.
But, so the issue is that just, you know, again, being a 90-10 Dave guy, you would have never heard this kind of song from the Dave version of Van Halen. It's just way too much of a soccer mom ballad, you know, for radio play. It's well done, but you would have never heard this from Roth. He is still to this day never put out anything, a song, even a ballady song, anything like this. It's just not what he would do. So coming from that standpoint of being a fan of the band when Dave was the front man, this was just too soft for me. And I mean, I can appreciate it now for what it is. I know that, you know, we wanted the band to go in a different direction, but like, you know, Kelsey's got some Kiss album covers up in the background. So I'll make the connection of like when Kiss came out with Carnival of Souls, you know, when they tried to be a grunge band. You know, hearing Paul Stanley sing about how much he hates life and that, you know, it's constantly raining and I'm depressed and all this stuff. It's just like this. I don't want this from Paul Stanley. I want, you know, let's put the X in sex, read my body.
I want Love Gun.
Exactly. Singing about his dick, you know, not how much he hates his dick. So
I thought you were going to bring up Unmasked, and I
That's
was
what
like, I'll
Plaster
throw down
Cast
for
was
that
about.
album too.
Oh no, I'm a huge
I
Unmasked
love
guy.
Unmasked. I was
No,
like, I'll throw down for that album right now.
I'll throw down alongside you with that one.
Hell yeah.
But Carnival of Souls is like it
Mhm.
just didn't match up, and that's how I felt. Even though they had a new singer, and I knew Sammy did that kind of material, I wasn't really sure that he would bring that into Van Halen. And when he did, and when I heard, I was just like, this is just too soft for me. And it's really as simple as that. You know, I love the story about how you heard it on happenstance before you took an exam and you nailed it and you listened to it before every exam. I mean, I love how music resonates with people in that way, but just I just can never get over my first impression that, like, and especially compared to some of the other stuff on this album, it's just way too soft for me.
Yeah. Chaz in the chat put it pretty well, I thought. Feels like it was written by Diane Warren. Maybe not
Diane
quite
Warren.
that bad, but close. Yeah.
She's good for the bank account, but not so good for, you know, your rock credibility, so to speak.
All right, Markimeyer, you have the last word on Love Walks In. You and I both had this one ranked 8th.
Yeah. But I love this song. And I'll be completely honest. I know we had a lot of fun when we covered this song on the show, you know, deciphering its meaning, its true meaning, as it were. But if I'm being honest, any other time I listen to this, I completely forget about the alien factor of it, and I just listen to it for how it is. And you know me, man, like I'm a sucker for a good Van Halen ballad. We only get them really from the Sammy era, and you know that has a connection with me. So I really enjoy this. It's at number 8 simply because this is as Brad eloquently put it, like this is just an album full of bangers. Like it's almost I won't say perfect, but I mean it's like it's top notch. So Love Walks In had to go somewhere, and for me, it didn't quite level up as far as the 7 before it did, but it's absolutely, I think, a perfectly good song. I do get what Chris is saying though about at the time, you know, thinking, this is too soft. I'm not into it for right now. And I have dismissed so many bands and so many songs in my early days because I was like, it's too soft for me right now. It's like, I need it heavy. I need it to hit hard. And, you know, and I've had to, in retrospect, have to go back and revisit some of those old bands that I dismissed because I was in a different place. So I understand that aspect, and that's the only reason it's number 8 for me is because I think there are 7 others that hit a little bit harder.
All right. Well, Scott Everett, when he did his rankings, he had it ranked 5th. He's defending it in the chat, and he's kind of taking a shot at Kiss here. He says Kiss can't record that type of music or even come close. So Paul Stanley would never record that type of lyric. If he's referring to a power ballad, they did that with Forever, and I thought it was pretty successful.
Right. Oh, well, that's it. Michael Bolton wrote that, but I mean, you know, Reason to Live is another.
Yeah.
Pretty...
And every time I look at you, okay, like I still love you, like okay.
Wait,
every
Kiss
time
did a Michael Bolton song?
Yeah, Forever was written by Michael Bolton.
Oh wow, okay.
Didn't use it and gave it to Kiss, but who mentioned "I Still Love You"? Is that
Kelsey?
Yeah, I mean,
I love Kiss.
Yeah, well, yes, as well you should. But I mean, "I Still Love You" is Paul's greatest vocal performance.
Oh yeah, especially
ever.
on the Unplugged.
Yeah,
so
a lot of people
yeah.
say that, and I agree with it, but just there's something about that studio version that's just off the hook. But like, you know, again, "Reason to Live" is a great 80s style power ballad, so I'd have to disagree with that. And the only reason I was comparing the two is just, like I said, it was Love Walks In was just that kind of jarring to me. Like, this is not what I expect or even want from this band. And that's kind of fueled my opinion of Love Walks In over the years.
All right. Well, it's time to move on to song number 7. A little more up-tempo than Love Walks In. Let's play a little bit of it here for you. Oh, I always love that intro. To Get Up, number 7. Total points, 96. So it did pretty well. And actually, that was one thing about 5150 is there was, aside from song number 1, there was really no runaway. Everything was really kind of close together. 96 points for number 7 is pretty darn good. One person had this ranked as the best song on 5150. One person had this ranked as the worst song on 5150. The most votes were 7, tied between 8th place and 6th place. The audience ranking when we did Get Up was 7th. They had this one 77.5%, What Dreams Are Made Of, 22.5%, The Dream Is Over. Brad Gould, I'm looking at you because you're the fella who put this number 1 on the record.
And I'm going to own it, right? You know, I went back and forth over and over again, but at the end, this is a scorcher. And it's everything that Van Halen used to be before, but with a different tool, a singer with a different set of pipes. And I you know, Eddie and Alex are just locked in with the driving rhythm, the harmonies in the chorus. What, for some reason, the 4 notes that Ed plays, I don't know what you call it, the bridge leading into the chorus, each time it's like this little high pitch that kind of goes down. It just kind of sounds a little playful. And when he hits a solo, the whole band, it's just like they just stepped on the pedal to, you know, to the end. The lyrics are great. Nothing's campy. It's, you know, it's a little bit upbeat. So, yeah, you know, when I put this together yesterday, it was my number 1. And I'll own it.
Nice. Well, the young lady beside you there, Miss Kelsey, had this one last.
Well, she's wrong. Even though it's her opinion, she's wrong.
I'm not gonna lie, I do not like this song very much.
No?
I'm just gonna go and say it. It's just so chaotic for me, and I don't know what it is that I like don't specifically like about it, but it's just like it's all over the place, and I've never really been like a fan of like that kind of vibe. I love Eddie's playing in this, as I always do, but Alex sounds amazing, and the harmonies sound amazing. Like everything, it just doesn't fit very well for me. And like I said, I just like I don't like I couldn't pick out one thing that I just don't like. It just doesn't sound like it fits to me, and like I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's not my favorite, but it's not bad. It's just not mine, you know.
Well, Mark and Meyer, this is another one you and I agreed on. We both had this ranked number 6.
We did. This song, no disrespect to Kelsey or anything, but no, this song rips.
Oh, she's so mad she left. Oh, she's coming back.
She's like, "What'd you say?" No, she's back. No, I do think this song absolutely rips. I mean, again, though, this is an album full of bangers, so it really becomes a point of how do I rank this? Where does each track line up with me? And for this one, it just came down to personal preference and how previous songs impacted me more. And Get Up was kind of one I wasn't extremely familiar with until our journey through this through the catalog, and it was kind of a pleasant surprise, actually. Or if I had been familiar with it before, I forgot. So we'll just call it a pleasant surprise. I think, yeah, this is a great song. It is where it is only because you just got the connection with the other songs a little bit further. But yeah, I don't fault Brad for putting this as his number 1 whatsoever. For Kelsey just thinks it's too chaotic, and I respect it. It's fine.
Bottom third on my rankings. I still never skip it. It's on all my Van Halen playlists. I love Get Up. Chris, I believe you had this one ranked number 6 as well.
I did. And yeah, just in general, women don't like chaos as much as men do. I think it's really.
I don't know. I love David Lee Roth, and he's pretty chaotic. So.
Well, true. You know what? And I'm glad you mentioned that, because as we know, Dave's "Eat 'Em and Smile" album came out the same year as this album. This is basically Van Hagar's version of "Shy Boy" off of "Eat 'Em and Smile." It's like you play those two songs back to back; they're almost the exact same song. And so like "Get Up" is probably the song most for me on 5150 that could have been a Dave song, and I think for me that was reinforced by the fact that "Eat 'Em and Smile" has "Shy Boy" on it, and when I hear one, I think of the other, and vice versa. I just think it's a huge shot of energy. I mean, it would definitely get us college idiots charged up back in the day to roll in the kegs and have a progressive party and do all this stuff, and it was just a shot of adrenaline, bands firing on all cylinders, high octane tune, and the energy of it is just infectious. So big fan of all those elements, and I tip my hat to sorry, I'm looking at the names here. He doesn't. The guy who ranked it number 1,
Brad.
I tip my hat to you, sir. It's a bold move, but I think I think the fact you own it, and you should own it, because there's a case to be made for it. I mean, it's just full tilt rock and roll, and what's not to like about it?
That's right. We'll go to the chat real quick before we finish off with Kevin. Chaz says, "I wish this had been the lead single. This song has cocaine written all over it."
Yeah, that's another way to put it. Yeah, shot of energy, all that stuff.
I mean, yes, but
the Four Loko of Van Halen songs is what Get Up is. I think.
Jeff Brewer, welcome Jeff to the chat, says cool use of the Steinberger Trans Trem, just not as good as most on the album. Jason Skull, hello Jason, thanks for joining us, says Get Up is controlled chaos on overdrive. And everyone is praising Chris for the Shy Boy reference, because that's 100% on the money. That's why, Pound of Thunder is a recognized symbol of excellence in rock and roll podcasting, and Chris is, he's the gunslinger for a reason.
Well, I mean, it's just it was like, because back in the day you A-B'd the two albums because it was a real thing. You know, it's like the Dave camp, the Sammy camp, and when the albums came out, you'd compare the two, and then you know when you're listening to Get Up, everybody would say, "Man, that sounds like Shy Boy," and then you'd listen to the Dave album and you'd listen to Shy Boy and be like, "That sounds like Get Up," and there was like the common thread between the two factions back in the day. It's like that was we could, you know, find common ground and agree that, you know, it's Van Halen, it's good. Anything under the Van Halen brand is going to be good. It's just which do you prefer? But like though that common thread was just kind of a cool thing, cool discussion point back in the day.
That's right. And for more comparisons between Eat 'Em and Smile and 5150, Mark and I did a podcast with Sean Geek and Fast Fret where we did just that. We compared track by track, Eat 'Em and Smile and 5150. By the way, Sean Geek had Get Up ranked number 5. Todd Fast Fret had that one ranked number 7. I should give more of our special guests here. The Bo hosts from the Bogus Soda Show. First of all, they had Inside ranked 9th. Get Up was ranked 8th, so they had this one actually ranked quite low.
Okay.
Eric Senich, who hopefully will be joining us a little bit later, Inside was his 9th. Get Up was also 8. Love Walks In was number 5 for him. Kevin Brown, you had Get Up ranked as number 6 as well.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say about this one, it feels to me like a song that came really quickly. This sounds like the type of song that Ed and Al can put together in an afternoon. You know, it's right in their wheelhouse. They're not really stretching, as they do on other songs on this album, very, very far out of what they do really, really well. So I'll bet you they sat down, Al sat down behind the kit, they cranked out the basic arrangement and said, okay, yeah, good. Let's just kind of refine that and polish it. We'll get Sam to write some lyrics and we're done. Easy track to write, get out. But it's quite long, okay? Like it's 4:30 or so. It's not a short little song, which, you know, it would have been, I think, in the Dave era.
Mm-hmm.
But it moves.
Oh, it moves quickly.
Yeah, moves along.
No kidding. Tony Griggs, new to the chat. Thanks for joining us. Good songs, great drum sound, but man, I wasn't a fan of Eddie's guitar sound on this. So.
Oh, okay.
Big flange.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's talking about the whole album or just the song. But I'm kind of I don't want to go too far off tangent here, which it's not really because we're talking about the album, but definitely, you know, from a guitar nerd standpoint, you know, somebody's bringing up the Steinberger Trans Trem. Kelsey's probably like, what the fuck are these idiots talking about? This is all guitar nerd stuff.
Hey, no, I read his book. He
Okay,
talks about
good.
that. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So you know it's guitar nerd stuff. We're getting in the weeds with that. You know, a big thing among guitar nerds is the tone of Eddie and the Brown sound and all that stuff. And that was another the guitar sound to me was a little too thin, a little too processed. And then you know, the electronic drums were definitely different. So it was those were sonically, the whole thing was another point of adjustment for Van Halen fans. And it's like, I don't dislike it, but it's definitely different. And I prefer the more organic guitar tones of the previous era. So that's what I think Tony's talking about. I would assume he's referencing the entire album, but maybe he just means this song.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's move on now to song number 6. And it should sound familiar for people who listen to our show because it's how we kick off every single episode. After Michael Anthony welcomes everybody to the podcast, Will Rock, we hear,
"Hello, baby."
that's right, number 6. Good enough. 106 points. Its highest ranking. Again, somebody ranked this first on their ballot. Its lowest ranking, dead last. 2 people had Good Enough ranked last. Most people had it. Yeah, we'll get into those people. Hopefully they're on the call or in the chat.
Name them. Publicly shame.
We will publicly shame them, absolutely. Most votes, most people had this ranked 7th. The audience had this one ranked 5th when we did our polls. Good Enough had an 82.3%. What Dreams Are Made Of, 17.7%. The Dream Is Over. Chris, why don't we start with you on this one? Good Enough. You had this one number 2.
Damn right I did. Okay. So, Why Can't This Be Love, of course, is the first single, came out before the album came out. So that was our first, that's what we first heard from Van Hagar. And I'll just use that term for convenience's sake, you know. So the first single, we'd heard it before the album came out. That's what Van Hagar, that we already got a taste of it. So then when you get the whole album, you put it on, and this is the opening salvo. I mean, Sammy Hagar invoking the Big Bopper right off the bat. I mean, come on now. And then the whole thing is just, again, energy and just your immediate reaction, whatever side of the fence you were on, was like, okay, this is going to be good, because it's a high energy opening track. You know, Sammy's comparing women to meat. I mean, you know, what's not to like about that? It's just like everything lined up, and it was just so exciting. You know, I would even rank it almost on par with what the feeling was like when you first put on Fair Warning and heard Mean Street for the first time. It's like, it was that good of an album opener. So I'm shocked to hear that anybody put it last. Just overall it ranked that low. It's absolutely close to number one for me, and we'll discuss why my number one is my number one later. But it's just one of the great album openers, and also openers for a new era of the band of all time, in my opinion.
Really couldn't ask for a better opener. I agree. Kevin Brown, you want to explain to why you're ranked at 8th?
Well, 3 through 8, I could have really just fucking throw them up in there and see where they land, right? Really, I mean, it's a great opener. I really, really like it. I just prefer some of the songs to it, so there's nothing really else to say other than that. I've got much more to say about other songs, so I'll leave that one there, I think, Corey.
That's fine. The two people who ranked it last, one is in our chat. Tar Armbruster ranked this one 9th. Heath McCoy, the fellow who ranked this one 9th.
What?
Heath ranked this 9th, really?
He did, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
McCoy, you got some explaining to do.
Yeah. But Kelsey, you thought this was good enough for number 4. Kelsey?
Oh, I'm sorry. I had my thing went out for a second.
Oh, no worries.
I love this song. I don't know if you've ever seen the meme. I think I mostly see it with girls. It's like every ounce of feminism leaving my body when I hear this song. That's how I feel about this song. I will put this on when I'm like getting ready and putting on like a great outfit, and I'm like, I do look good enough to eat, you know? So yeah, no, I love this song. I love it. I like any kind of song like this. It's just so funny. I feel the same way with like Trampled Underfoot by Led Zeppelin. That's like, they're comparing it to something that's like not necessarily, maybe not a compliment to some people, but like to this, like, yeah, I love this song. This is a great song. I put this 4th, I think, but yeah. Yep. Everything else that everyone has said, I agree with. This is great. This is a banger.
Now, Brad, you had this one 8th, but like you said, after Inside, everything's pretty close together.
It really is. I mean, Kevin was spot on. I mean, look, it's a great intro. It's Sandy saying hello, I'm here. Alex, I think, is just crushing this. I mean, he is just on fire. The harmonies are great. The vocal performance is great. Ed is shredding. For me, the thing that kind of pushed it down, the lyrics are a little bit meh. You know, I think the lyrics and some of the other songs kind of help elevate it. That was for me how it ended up where it is. But 3 to 8, 1 to 8 even. They're all close.
Yeah. Tom in the chat just says, I listened to the album twice while doing my rankings, and I just liked everything else better. Yeah, fair enough. It's a pretty damn good record. Mark Meyer, you had this one 4th.
I did. 6 is just not good enough. This absolutely should have been. Nah, it's fine. It's again kind of reiterating what Kevin and Brad were saying, where it's just kind of toss it up into 3 through 8, and this could end up anywhere. That's sort of where it did for me. Although I knew I liked it enough that I really wanted it top tier, but just because of how I personally feel about 3 other songs before it just barely reached number 4 for me. But good enough, man. Yeah, like what a banger of an opener, and what a statement to make, right? If you're Sammy Hagar and you're the boys, and you just like, yeah, this is a new era. This is Sammy going, this is my era, like my here. He's like, I'm with, yes, it's Van Halen, but also like I'm gonna show you what we got. And it just, yeah, what better opener could you have asked for? Honestly, I mean, but also I will say, the criticisms of the song are also fair. Like lyrically, it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. And even we on the show have a habit sometimes that even if lyrically it's not great, the structure of the song and everything happening instrumentally can save it. Van Halen's notorious about that, and sometimes more so during the Hagar era, as it turns out. But lyrical content aside, this song just really hits hard. So yeah, it had to make my number 4, almost top 3, but the 3 above it were just too close to personal for me.
Bohost had at 5, Eric Senich had at 7. Checking the chat here, Jay says the lyrics are the dinner version of Up for Breakfast. So that's high praise. Scott Monroe
coming to dinner.
Scott Monroe says it was good enough for Spaceballs. What more do you want?
Correct. That's the correct comment.
Yep.
That is logic you cannot argue with.
That's right.
There you go. Yeah.
And then Tony says we all need more Big Bopper songs in our lives. That's a good point. I'm putting Chantilly
Amen.
Lace on the Pot of Thunder random song generator.
I wouldn't be mad about it.
All right, time to move on to number 5. We'll see if this one surprises some folks, because this could be considered one of the bigger tracks. It's not Up for Breakfast. It starts kind of the same way.
Oh, what? Oh, come on, y'all. I get it.
That's right, number 5. Why Can't This Be Love? Got 132 points. Its highest ranking was first on 2 different ballots. One person out of 27 ballots ranked this as the least favorite song on 5150. The most times it placed was 5 times. It was placed 6th. And the audience ranking had this one ranked number 2. So for the Twitter poll audience, they had Why Can't This Be Love at number 2. 87.9% What Dreams Are Made Of. 12.10% The Dream Is Over, which is one of the highest Sammy scores of all time. Mark Kamara, why don't you kick us off on this one? Because Why Can't This Be Love? Pretty high on your ballot. It was number 3.
It rounded out the top 3 because it's Why Can't This Be Love, man. It's like it's one of their big bops, not just of the Hagar era, but just of Van Halen in general, man. It's like it's iconic, I would say, and I love everything about it. I love that it's very keys heavy, but it's also not undermining the rockness that Van Halen does so well. I mean, it's like that's the thing. No pun intended. They're good about giving you the best of both worlds here with the guitar work, with the keys. I mean, like obviously this is the era of Van Halen where they were where Eddie was doing a little bit more key centric things, synth and everything, but this song, man, it just works. I mean, is it a very kind of like pop bubblegum type sort of thing? Yeah, it is, but that's not a bad thing. That's not. It just means that it's popular for a reason, because it was connecting with a lot of people, and it hit at the right time. And yeah, it's a vibe. It's a cool little roll down your windows, or your put the top down in your convertible, just take a drive in the sunset and just blast Why Can't This Be Love, man. It's sweet. And I think number 5, nah, come on, it deserves better than that, I think.
Well, I tell you, in the chat here, one of the fellows who ranked it number 1. First of all, Nate from the Deep Purple podcast ranked this one number 1, as did Scott Everett, who says, not surprised by the heartless souls that do these rankings. They are wrong. Well, you're one of those souls, because your ballot counted too. But let's move now to Brad Gould. Why Can't This Be Love? You had this one number 4.
Yeah, listen, after number 9, I haven't gotten a single one right. Probably won't for the rest of the night. But look, everything Mark says there. It's a great up-tempo rock balance. The synth is a little bit much, but the band kind of shines through it. I wish there's a little bit more harmony coming out of it. It's a great vocal performance by Sammy. Again, Alex is really driving this one. I think more than the rest of the band. Simple solo. But I really like the end where kind of Eddie's sort of playing with Sammy singing. Lyrics are a little bit redundant again, but I had this at 4. I love the song. Listen to it every time I can.
Well, everyone in the chat's saying, get it, Kelsey, as she's bopping along to Why Can't This Be Love? You had this one ranked, number 6?
Yeah, this is like,
Wow.
I don't know. This isn't like my favorite ballad of theirs, to be honest. I mean, obviously, Love Walks In is like one of my favorite songs ever, but I don't know. I was thinking because like obviously I wasn't around when this happened, but I think this is a weird choice for a single, like or at least like the first single off this album. I think there's so many other options. At least like since this is the first Van Hagar album, like I feel like I don't know. Good Enough would have been a great, you know what I mean? Like I feel like something else would have been a better like show of like what this album or this era is. But I do love this song. I mean, y'all just watched me fucking karaoke that shit. Every time the breakdown happens, dude, I love this song. But yeah, this is groovy, and I'm honestly surprised it's ranked as high as it is because a lot of people love to dog this song. But no, it's groovy. It's adorable. I love this song. So it's just like as we've been talking about, the middle ones in this album could be interchangeable.
Yep. You can't deny it's one of the most successful, 80s power pop love songs of all time. Went to number 3 on the Billboard charts. Kevin Brown, I know you're a big fan of this one. You had this one ranked number 4, largely because of the synths. Is that correct?
Largely because of that solo. The bridge section of the solo is what elevates this song from being a good power, like a power ballad, to a Van Halen song for me. Because it just when that break comes down, when the song changes direction there, I think that's what makes it for me. And Kelsey, to that point, I think that this releasing this first is that it's the line in the sand. It's like we're going to show that we're different now. Sam's with us. We're unapologetically going to take Van Halen in a different direction, and either get on board or don't. And when you hear Good Enough when the album opens, it's familiar enough for the Dave guys to be okay. Well, we've got us back. But I think the first single is this is the direction we're going. Jump on board, and I think it does it. It's a great song front to back. I really enjoy it.
All right, Chris, you hit this one, hit the nail right on the head. You had this one number 5 as well.
Yeah, like I said, this is the first single, came out before the album was released, so this is everybody's first taste of Van Halen with Sammy in the band. And right off the bat, it's a keyboard synth driven song, but it wasn't too much. Just didn't seem like too much. It had the right balance. And it's just it's a well written song. It is what it is. It's like he just said, it's unapologetically, like, definitely Van Halen's going to go in a more pop direction, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. And it's just the performances are great, the breakdown, the solo section, the arrangement is very interesting. And then of course, who cannot be who could not find some charm in the classic lyric, only time will tell if we stand the test of time. I mean, you file that away with the live and let die, the world in which we live in, the same word said within 5 words of each other. It's like it's wrong, but it's so just sort of has that appeal to it that it gives a little quirk to it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I think when the single came out, the rockers from the Dave era were like, okay, this is pretty good. I definitely want to hear more, but I don't hate this. And the girls liked it. It was, I think girls always liked Van Halen because of, it was a party atmosphere, and they had come out with Jump and I'll Wait and stuff that was a little more appealing to the fairer sex. But this single definitely was more aimed in that direction, and women responded really well to it. So it was a nice balance for them, I thought.
Well said. Well, not everyone in the chat is a fan of this one. Jeff Brewer says, I don't hate it. It just annoys me. Josh says, all the elements of why people like this song is the exact reason why I skip past it. And Tony says, I was such a huge Van Halen fan growing up, and then Dave left, and I could never recover from that. I fell into the Dave camp because of the energy of Vi. And I think that goes for a lot of fans that were big fans of the first six, then coming, after Dave left, maybe jumping over to the Dave camp and Eat 'em and Smile and skipping over stuff like this. So.
I mean, Eat 'em and Smile it's so good too.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yep. And I think we announced it on last week's show. Eat 'em and Smile is going to be on the first wheel, season 4. We're going to be covering Eat 'em and Smile is going to be the Dave record. We also finished the poll for the Sammy record. It's going to be the first Montrose record. So we've got Eat 'em and Smile and Montrose. The next poll to go out for our Patreons is going to be which Extreme / Gary / Wolfie / Michael Anthony. We're kind of giving Mike Anthony Sammy in the Circle and Chickenfoot, so he can kind of pad out his discography a little bit. So it's not just all Sammy, because his discography is insane. So
Yeah.
all right, time now to go to number 4. And this one kind of hurt my soul a little bit because I'm a pretty big fan of this one. To me, you bring Sammy Hagar into the band to sing stuff like this. This is a little song called Dreams. Total points 165. 4 people had this ranked as the best track on 5150. 3 people had this ranked 7th. It never ranked lower than 7th. The most votes it got tied 2nd and 3rd place. 5 people each put it at 2nd and 3rd. The audience had Dreams ranked 6th. 78.4% what dreams are made of. 21.6 The Dream is Over. I'm looking at guys like Ryan Powell, our good buddy Ryan, had this one at number 1. Chaz had this one at number 1. And my podcasting partner, Markham Meyer, had this one at number 1.
It's Dreams. This is like
What dreams are made
Arguably-
of.
I mean, yeah. I mean, this is arguably Sammy's best vocal work that he ever did on the band. I mean, I know that's subjective, but I mean, just listening to what he's doing, I mean, he is abusing that upper register, and that's, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, he's just like, he's up in there and he's not coming down, and he's just going to show you that he is going to howl the best possible way Sammy Hagar knows how to do. And then on top of that, it's just a really well structured rock song that became a pop song, because pop means popular, and it just means that it was just very, very popular and lots of people enjoyed listening to it. For me, it's easily, if you break down a Van Halen top 10 quintessential tracks, I really believe Dreams deserves a spot on that top 10. That's, again, I'm probably alone in that regard, but I really do believe it. And it's just, again, the personal connections with this song. This is the song I mentioned earlier that just kind of seemed to keep following me wherever I go in my journey. It could be, out of all the Van Halen songs that I could possibly stumble across and hear the most by accident, for whatever reason, is Dreams. It's always been Dreams. So the song, I've never really known a time where Dreams wasn't a part of my my upbringing and my the ether, I guess you could call it. It's just gorgeous. It's a gorgeous rock ballad, man. It's just fantastic. I love everything about it. And I knew I would probably be in the minority putting this as the best song on the album. But number 4 kind of really hurts my soul, just as it hurts yours, Corey. But it's fine. It's fine. I know these tracks land differently with everybody. That's the beauty of music. It's subjective, right? But
Yep.
Dreams, I think, really deserves to be in the upper tier of Van Halen tunes.
Well, I had it right at number 4. It's one of my favorites from this record. Let's go to the
You're
chat
the
real
one.
quick.
You're at fault here.
Yeah. Johnny Bean, legendary Van Halen YouTuber Johnny Bean. Hey, everyone. Glad to have you here, my friend. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, Scott is Everett. What in the world is wrong with people? Number 4. Oh, my. He had Dreams number 2. So he's not having a good night, our good friend Scott. Charles 616 says, it's no up for breakfast. Thank merciful crap for that. Mike Pope says hello. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Tony Grigg says, I live in a very heavily populated military area, and man, did the Flyboys love this song. Well, sure, when you got the Blue Angels in your video, that certainly helps, right? So, Jeff Brewer says, great vocal performance, decent lyrics, well-written song. Chris L., what are your thoughts? You had this one ranked number 7.
I did. So does that mean I should just leave the chat
No,
now?
no.
Nah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, well, I'm gonna invoke the defense, excuse, whatever you want to say, that other people have said already on the show, that something had to end up at 7, and the 6 songs above it I just like better. I mean, I will say this, as far as keyboard driven songs in the Van Halen catalog, I prefer this way more than Jump. I mean, it's got way more energy.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely an outstanding vocal performance, as people have said. Whenever a singer pushes their limit to that high register and pulls it off, that's pretty impressive. And so you got to give the props there, and just there's energy to it. The performances are great. It's just a little too keyboard heavy for me, for my tastes, and I got to be honest, I hated the Blue Angels video. It's like, what is this? So it's a soundtrack for a Blue Angels video. I want to see the band rocking this song out. I don't give a fuck about the Blue Angels. Who cares about the Blue Angels? Of course, I never saw Top Gun either. I wasn't that guy. It's just like, but it was just seemed like a lazy juxtaposition. You could have put any song on there, and that had a little bit of energy. It's like, I want to this Van Halen just came out with their new singer. I want to see these guys in action. And what did they even have any other videos off this album? I can't even think of any that like showed the band rocking out.
I don't think so. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
wasn't there something about they didn't, if I recall correctly, I thought I heard maybe on the podcast that they, like, the anti-Dave rejection, no videos, and eventually somebody released this with a like you said, a Blue Angels advertisement, but I don't think there is one.
Yeah, I can't think of one. And if that's the reason, that's kind of unfortunate, because it's like you're acknowledging the fact that, that there's going to be some blowback versus like confidently moving forward. And, as you see with the live footage of Live Without a Net, they were a formidable live band. I mean, that's an understatement. So, I mean, it's like, I want to see these guys performing this stuff. I don't want to see the Blue Angels, it just seemed like it seemed like a short changing. It's like, I don't want to, why make this video? I don't want to see it. I want to see the band, so that kind of factors into it for me. But yeah, I mean, something had to be at 7, and like I said, I'll listen to this over Jump 10 times out of 10, no question.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one. Dave Tomko in the chat says $10 says Chris L calls this track milk toast.
It is a little milk toast. I mean, I don't know how I don't mind that I've achieved ownership of that word, but it is a little bit. But I mean, it's it's 80s rock. It's what was going on, the sound of the day, and it's not a false statement, but I don't. It doesn't kill my enjoyment of it. It's just the other 6 songs I had out of it I like better.
Fair enough. Well, Kevin Brown, you had this one ranked number 5.
Yeah, but before we start, though, I want to say hi, Chris. I'm the only other person in the world who's never seen Top Gun. So I think it's just me and you. Certainly in our age range, I think we're the only ones who've not seen it. It's awesome to me. Fantastic news. Probably the best pop song. I think maybe Ed's best pop song, maybe Dance the Night Away. You'd have to throw into that conversation as well. But yeah, great 80s pop song. Again, something that's elevated by the solo. It's another great solo part. And I actually remember the first time I heard this song, being that little nerdy keyboard player, I ran off and immediately learned it. And I sat down earlier today to see if I still remembered it. Nope. So I'm gonna have to spend a little bit of time figuring the song out again, because I've said this before on the pod that Eddie Van Halen doesn't play keyboards like a keyboard player. He plays keyboards like a guitar player, and it's weird. So you've got to get your fingers moving in a different way than you would normally. So yeah, I mean, Dreams, come on. I mean, it's a great chorus. You can tap your foot to it. You can hum along to it. There's nothing to dislike about this song.
Well, don't feel too bad, Kevin, about the keyboard thing because you're from Wingham and therefore you have no rhythm. So it's fine. Everybody forgives you.
Wigan. I fucking told you this a million. And you
Wingham.
keep accusing me of being
Wingham.
from Saskatoon. So go fuck yourself.
I'm not going to keep mispronouncing it just because it gets you all riled up. Kelsey, get us back on track. You have this one ranked number 7.
Mom and Dad are fighting again.
Stop fighting. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's just because I've heard this one so much, but like it's not like I said, like it had to I agree with Chris. It had to go somewhere. But I love both the solos in this, especially the end where he does the little melodic thing. And then the tapping, it's beautiful. That's probably my favorite part of the song. It's fine. But
It's perfectly adequate, you say?
No, I mean it's good. It's just like I said, I think I've heard this one so much, and also I worked out at the track a lot, the Indy Speedway, and I think I told you guys this. They have like a whole playlist that repeats after a few hours, and this is the only Van Halen song on there. And it's just kind of funny to me. That's why I've associated with this song is like I'll be in the middle of working and then I'm like, is that fucking Sammy screaming outside? But yeah, no, this is a good one, but it's just like I think there's a lot more songs on the album that are better. So
Checking into some of our special guests, Sean McGinnity had this one ranked number 2. The Bogus Otis Boys had this one number 2. Eric Senich had this number 1. Brad Gould, you get the final word on Dreams. You also had it ranked at number 2.
All right. So not to sound like I'm repeating what both Mark and Kevin said, I actually took some notes in advance. So I was doing this over the week, and I got this peak Sammy Hagar as a singer. I mean, it just is. And I think I said earlier, he gave a versatility to the band, a different tool that they never could have had with David Lee Roth. And David had tools that the band could never have. And originally I had this lower because it's really not a lot of guitar, not really a lot of harmony. But then I started listening to it again, and I mean, again, Alex is just crushing this song. What he's doing on drums, and the keyboard really does cover the bass line. I mean, Eddie's really jamming there, and why can't the keyboard also be the rhythm? It's Eddie Van Halen playing. It's not, So anyway, and then you get the solo, right? And then once I heard that solo again, and everything that comes after, it's like an afterburner, and sort of like the outro solo. You got an amazing vocal performance, sort of like a positive, uplifting lyrics again. I mean, it is what dreams are made of. I'll be hokey and say it. So it's my number 2, and I'll stand by that one as well.
All right. Well, Scott Monroe says, Mark said the thing. I wonder what thing you said, Mark. I wasn't paying attention. Do you remember?
I don't know. I said a lot. Said a lot of things.
Tony Grigg says, I'm all for a good Milquetoast song, but this one just doesn't do it. So there you go. Fair enough.
Tony's more hardcore than most human beings, so you should know that. That's where he's coming from.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, time to go on to number 3. Let's go around the horn real quick. What do we think was number 3? Mark, let's start with you.
Let's see what's left here. I think what has made number 3 is probably Best of Both Worlds.
Best of Both Worlds. All right, Kevin Brown.
I got a horrible feeling it's going to be 5150, but I'm hoping it's Best of Both Worlds.
All right, another one for Best of Both Worlds. Kelsey.
I was gonna say that.
Best of Both Worlds again. Brad.
Summer Nights.
Summer Nights. All right, Chris L. Any guess on what finished number 3?
Yeah, I'm gonna probably guess 5150.
A lot of votes for 5150, but actually it was Chris L's number 1 song. Summer Nights in my radio. I voted this one rather high because I live in Canada. We don't experience summer nights. So it always sounded like something I wanted to experience someday. Great tune. 169 points. Its highest ranking was first on 4 different ballots, including on Chris L. Lowest ranking was 7th. 2 people ranked this 7th. I don't get that at all. Most votes, 6 times it was voted 2nd, 6 times voted 3rd. The audience ranking voted this number 1. This was the audience's favorite track on Summer Nights, and the only Sammy track to get 90%, 90.8%, What Dreams Are Made Of. 9.2, The Dream Is Over. So let's start with you, Chris. You had this as your favorite song from 5150.
Absolutely. It's one of the two Sammy songs that made my all-time Van Halen top 20. The other one is Run Around off the Fuck album. But Kelsey touched on it with the comments very early in tonight's discussion. But this song just creates such a mood and just paints such a picture and really just puts you in the middle of summer. It doesn't matter what time of year it was or what time of year it is. Whether you live in a part of the planet that doesn't have summer nights, you listen to this song and suddenly you're there. And the other thing is like we talk about personal experiences where he's talking about, you know, hanging out in the parking lot and waiting for girls to show up. You know, that's something we did when we were in high school. It was the local 7-Eleven was the place. When you were off for summer, you'd drive over there and just hang out at the parking lot drinking Slurpees and like, man, I hope some girls show up tonight. Wouldn't that be great if some girls rolled up in here right now?
I did the same thing at the Come and Go, the ejaculate and evacuate.
Come and go.
That's right.
I mean, you know, that just makes total sense. If we had that in Detroit area, yeah, exactly. But just when, you know, that line about the parking lot is just, that's something that me and my friends did in the summer when we were in high school, and it just creates a mood, paints a picture, great storytelling, great lyrics. And then, you know, from the guitar nerd standpoint, the whole Steinberger trans trem thing, like, it was like, as a guitar nerd, it's like, okay, Eddie's got a new tool in the toolbox and he's killing it with that, you know, and that was exciting to hear. So this just checks all the boxes for me. And like I said, in terms of songs that transport me to a place and put me in a headspace that's appropriate with the subject matter of the song and the music, this is as good as any song that I've ever heard in my life for doing that.
Awesome. Well, we have another nickname for the Come and Go. I always called it the ejaculate and evacuate. Charles 616 calls it the hump and dump. That works too. I can't believe Come and Go is going away. It's like an American institution, and I wasted many a summer night at the old Come and Go in Plentywood, Montana.
That's
your buddy,
the key, Corey. It's in Plentywood.
Yes,
It's the Come and Go in
Plentywood. That's right.
Plentywood.
Yeah, Tony Gregg.
I've got one I just came up with. Maybe
Yeah?
it's a Chris original. How about the Shoot and Scoot?
I've heard that one before. Yeah, that's a good
You
one. though.
have?
Yeah,
Oh, man. I was feeling excited about that one.
you could have trademarked it, put it on a T-shirt, but I have heard that
know.
one before.
Missed opportunity.
Tony Gregg.
I've been riffing. I've been trying to think of what rhymes with gonorrhea, and nothing's coming to mind.
Oh,
Like, I
man.
just can't grab the first part of it. You know.
It's because you're from Wingham. You don't know that.
Get his ass.
Tony says, "Oh man, I can't believe this didn't make it to number one. This is the best Van Halen song, period."
Wow.
Dave Tomko says that guitar work in the intro is just butter. Everything about this song is just butter. Jay points out there's a rumor that Roth put down lyrics on this song before he left the band. I'd heard that one too. Anyone else
Oh
hear
my
that?
God. Could you imagine David singing this? Oh,
No, I really can't.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'd have to think about that one.
I prefer
Yeah.
Sam.
It'd have different lyrics.
This,
That's
yeah,
for
this
sure.
is this
oh, it
song,
would. Yeah.
whether or not that's true. I mean, this is obviously become Sammy owns this song forever. I mean, but yeah, I'd never heard that rumor. I'm not too sure about that one. But
Yeah. All right, well, let's go around the horn here. I think we started with Chris Markmeyer. We're up with you. I think here's Summer Nights, kind of low on your ballot. You had this one number 7.
7. It had something had to be number 7. I really enjoy Summer Nights. It beat Love Walks In, but I thought I enjoyed 6 other songs ahead of it, and that's really nothing more than that. I think I respectfully, I don't know that I agree with Tony in the chat's assessment that this is the best Sammy song ever. It's a good one. I definitely don't think it's the best one, but nevertheless, it's at 7 because something had to be.
Well, Jeff Brewer says, cooler use of the trans trim than Get Up. Great song with marginally dopey lyrics. The verse and bridge sections are so great. Scott Everett says, great storytelling to match great music.
Yeah.
Chaz says, Summer Nights reflect some of the best of the good times between Sam and Ed. Hey, the Spinning the Wheel podcast made it to the chat. They took a break listening to Wham to come listen to us here. So welcome. Scott Haskin.
I can sign off on that. That's a worthy thing to do.
Yeah.
Go listen to Wham. I'm not even joking.
No, I'm not either. I watched that documentary on Netflix on Wham. It was fantastic.
Wait, there's a documentary on Wham on
Yeah.
Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot. Yeah.
I got to go, you guys. So.
to watch Wham.
Well, we only got 2 songs left, but we'll get through those. And then you.
All right.
I highly recommend it, though. It's really well done.
Okay.
Scott Haskin is
Good.
here, and he says if David Lee Roth did Summer Nights, there would be more kicks. So that's his contribution to the chat. Thank you, Scott, the sexiest man in podcasting.
Always a pleasure, Scott.
yeah.
Thanks.
Jeff says the best Sam song is coming up, so it's going to be one of these two. And we're down to the final. Oh, we still got some guys to go here. Kevin, did we get your comments on Summer Nights? You had this
No.
ranked number 2. The Wiggum Warrior. Come on, buddy,
I'll
give it
lose
to
my
us.
mind.
He sounded so defeated. Like, no, are you
No.
gonna call on me? Jeez.
Oh, I pulled the Sean
I gotta
McGinnity.
raise my hand now.
yeah.
Well, there's no keyboards on this song, so who cares what Kevin thinks?
Well, I was going to say that, while you guys were all hanging around the parking lots of the 7-Eleven and the Come and Go trying to pick up girls, I was trying to learn Dreams on keyboard. So I think that's where I was going wrong in my younger years. Maybe I've pinpointed why I never got laid till I was 18. There you go. Yeah, it's a great song. Harmonies are on point. That little up-down major 7th lick that Ed puts in just makes my heart happy. I'm always waiting for that. That's what I listen to this song for. It frames everything else out. The dynamics are good in it. The change in the verse is great. Come on, again, as everyone else has said, it just puts you in a vibe, puts you in a mood.
Is
great.
anyone shocked that Kelsey had this one ranked number 1?
No.
No,
I said this is my top Sammy song. I love this song. And I wouldn't say it's the best one, but this is like I said earlier, like there's literally nothing like a July night, sunset over the water, a drink in hand allegedly, and watching I've put this song on there's a dock that I used to sit on if I was after work or something and we would sit on the lake and I'd put this song on because that is what this is, a summer night. But yeah, I love everything about this song. The opening guitar, Eddie's tone, the little in the chorus, those are so good. I always sing those. Summer nights, you want to talk about love? But yeah, no, I love the song. Like I said, it's my top Sammy song for sure.
All right, Brad, how about you? You had Summer Nights way down there at 7.
I did, and being in Florida, I live in Summer Nights, year round. So it's our life. Look, Mark said it best. I mean, it just had to come in somewhere because they're all really good. I mean, it's got a great groove. Love the intro riff. Eddie is smooth. The harmonies are great. The solo's great. The bass is out there. It's just, number 7. I do wonder though if this is sort of like the start of Sammy's, summer tropical beachy vibe. I don't really know a lot of Sammy pre Van Halen. I mean, I've heard some of the, some of his hits, but after this, when he went solo, there always seemed to be a little bit of a beach vibe to what he was doing. This might be the first one that kicked it off. So
Yeah, and then Cabo Wabo, of course, finished that
Banger.
that deal. He just at that point he became the Jimmy Buffett of rock.
and I'm a
for
huge
better or
listen.
worse.
My Chris, I have my two favorite musicians, 2 favorite groups: Van Halen and Jimmy Buffett, and they are completely different. But yeah, so I like
That
Sammy.
man likes to party.
Yeah.
in the union of that Venn diagram, it's just you, Brad.
Yeah.
That's the only. You're the only one in the middle.
Yeah.
Sammy Hagar is right in the middle.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, well, let's go to the chat real quick. Josh points out, Wham? No, Wham. Or I prefer the Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool.
Wham.
Wham.
Oh yeah.
Wham.
Yeah,
You
put some
gotta
res-
have the exclamation point in there.
Absolutely.
It's deserved.
My kid just graduated high school, but I came back to watch you guys on the drive home. That's dedication for you. That's what
Oh,
you should be
thanks.
doing on a Friday
Sup,
night.
dog?
Yeah, Summer Nights is just perfect. I could not agree more. Let's go. Eric Senich actually had Summer Nights number 4. The Bogus Otis Boys had Summer Nights number 3, and our good buddy Sean McGinnity, Summer Nights was his favorite song on 5150.
Smart man.
Yeah, for Todd, it was number 4. So pretty high on pretty much everybody's ballots. So that's going to bring us now to the number 2 song. And it's between two. It's between the Best of Both Worlds and 5150. I'm imagining, because everybody was guessing Best of Both Worlds for number 3, that you're going to think Best of Both Worlds probably coming in at number 2. Is that safe to say?
If Summer Nights is 3, yeah, I'm going to kind of put all my chips on Best of Both Worlds, probably ending up at number 2. Yeah.
Well, you're right. Best of Both Worlds comes in at number 2. It's my number 1. I fucking love everything about this song. 172 points. 2 people had this ranked number 1, including myself. 4 people had this ranked number 6. The most people voted it second. 8 people had it at second. The audience puts Best of Both Worlds at number 4. 86.5% What Dreams Are Made Of. 13.5% The Dream Is Over. Let's start with Brad Gould on this one. Brad, Best of Both Worlds, a little lower on your ballot, number 6.
I'm a thief of joy, Corey. What do
I know
want me
you.
to say?
Yeah. I'm going to make you a
it-
T-shirt now, you bastard.
It's right. It's right. You know, hey, I'm still waiting for my Wet for Alex T-shirt idea that I threw out the first time I was on. You
We
guys
got
loved
the
it.
design. Is it not on the store? Kevin Brown did design a Wet for Alex T-shirt design. I'll make sure you get
We
one.
did.
I will buy it. I will buy it for everybody. But you know, there is nothing that stands out to me on the song yet. I love it. It's got a great driving rhythm, a bright tone. The verses, the band is kind of subdued until they kick it up during the chorus. Great lyrics, you know. Just again, it had to come in somewhere. I love it.
Kelsey,
Yeah.
you're number 2 as well, I believe.
I love this song. Another one. If I had to pick a number 2 to my favorite Sammy, this one. Gosh, I think I said my mom showed me this song, and I remember I was really young, and I remember her being like, "Yeah, this is Van Halen." I'm like, "Wasn't that other song that you showed me also Van Halen? That doesn't sound like that guy." But I just putting this song. This is something I can put on anytime. I meant to say last time, like Summer Nights, like I almost can't listen to it in the winter because it makes me sad because it just feels like a warm summer night. But this song I could put on like anytime. Like if I have no idea what I'm gonna listen to, like you can put on this song. This is like that intro and just how good Eddie's guitar sounds, and like the first riff and then the slide and then where all the band comes in. Like there's just nothing like hearing that. Like this song is so good. So that's all I'll say.
I love Al banging on that crash in the chorus. That's so fucking great. Kevin Brown, you had Best of Both Worlds, number 3.
Yeah, I mean, say what you like about Sammy Hagar. You know, people don't like his lyrics here and there, but the guy can write a big vocal hook in a chorus. You know, this is built for radio. This why he comes into the man's why Ed obviously loves him. It's an earworm. I love the pacing of Best of Both Worlds. I like that sort of the cadence of that. Everything about this works for me, and the harmonies in this one are just delicious. It's a banger.
Could not agree more. Mark Meyer, number 5.
Again, not indicative of where do I think it sucks so it belongs lower on the list. Like, well, no, it's out of 9 songs. Best of Both Worlds had to end up somewhere, and again, you know, I've spoken my piece over why I chose the other songs ahead of it, but I don't know. Number 5's not that bad. I don't think right there halfway through. But also, I should point out that is it fell at number 5 at the time of ranking this list. You know, today, like not physically today, but I'm just saying like where I'm at in the universe. It's here. Tomorrow, a week from now, it could be way higher. I might change my mind and just decide that that's going to be my favorite song off this album. So it depends on the day. But Best of Both Worlds is awesome. It's a great song.
Absolutely. We'll go to the chat real quick before we have Chris wrap it up. Charles616 says the Busted Daytona Stripper Anthem. Absolutely. Dave Tonko says this song is the only song on this album I can actually hear Dave singing. You guys hear Dave singing Best of Both Worlds?
Not the
Not
way
as well.
Sammy does it,
No, I
but I could kind of see it. I don't know if it's any good, but I could kind of see him doing something with it. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the straight backbeat stuff, the 4 on the floor stuff, just suits Sammy's
Yeah,
delivery
it
style a little
does.
bit better, I think. It's not
Mhm.
quite got that swing to it. So, and Dave does really well with swing. So,
Tom points out it's not exactly Pope stuff, but there's a reverend out there somewhere who claims Van Halen is a Satanist band because of the "you don't have to die and go to heaven or hang around to be born again" lyric.
fuck that guy.
Okay.
By the way, anybody who hates Pope stuff, who listens to Pot of Thunder, you're all thieves of joy. Like, Pope stuff is classic.
What do you whatever.
It is what it is.
There's probably people out there who don't like pizza either. What are you going
Yeah.
to say about those people?
There's assholes everywhere.
Don't
Yeah.
trust them.
Yep.
I was going to say something else, but there's a woman in the room, so leave it at that. But you people are all people of the world. You can do the math. on
Oh, she
what I was
left. You can
really
go
gonna
ahead.
say. Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Say it.
Yeah. Oral pleasure, let's put it that way. There's probably people out there who don't like that. It's like, okay, fine. You do you.
Oh, my ears.
And those would be true thieves of joy if they
That's
don't.
right.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
The
Well,
poor
think if it-
virgin ears.
If you don't like oral pleasure, your only option left is to do you. You do
Yeah,
you. is
that's
your
a-
Yeah,
option,
that's
so-
exactly it. Yep.
There's no other alternative. ever.
Inadvertently giving spot on advice to those people who don't deserve it.
Oh, let's go back to the chat real quick. Scott Everett says, I've seen them 15 times, and one of the most fun live moments is them doing this in 1986 and then breaking into Addicted to Love. So damn great and fun. That'd have been
Oh,
pretty cool.
Wow.
Never knew they did that.
Yeah.
Every time I hear "Addicted to Love," I'm like, God, Eddie playing this, because I've seen a few videos of him, and I'm just like of them playing this, and I'm like, I think I would have like died and gone to heaven, to be honest.
Well, you don't have to die and go to heaven. And
You're
Jeff,
right.
Jeff Brewer says, basically the main riff is the same chords as Highway to Hell. I don't know how Ed got this to sound so much different and cool.
I had never heard that connection or made that connection, but I think he's right.
Yeah.
Now I won't unhear it, I don't think. So
All right. What we're going to hear right now, folks, is the number one song. Kevin Brown.
Oh wait, I didn't.
Oh,
get
sorry,
Sean
Chris.
on.
Sorry. Yeah. Geez, I pulled another Sean
Did you-
McGinnity.
did
My
you-
apologies.
Did you cut me off for referencing blowjobs? Is that-
No, no. We want more. This is Blowjob Talk with Chris L.
Yeah. That's my new. That's my new venture. I'm gonna announce that tonight. But anyway, yeah, I had this at 3, and this is the song off the album that got the most radio play in the Detroit area. I mean, this and Dreams, but this was just a staple on FM rock radio, and just the reason I kind of agree with whoever said this is the Sammy song you can most hear Dave singing. For me, it's mainly because of the lyrics. I think these are the closest to Dave lyrics that Sammy ever came up with, and I can hear Dave delivering these lyrics. I think musically it would have ended up a little different.
Yeah.
Like somebody said, like a waltz or a bossa nova or some weird sort of musical arrangement there, but I could definitely hear him delivering these lyrics. And then but I think my favorite part of the song is just that right after Sammy says we may never be here again, and Alex just wailing on that single Simmons drum pad like 5 times. No crazy Neil Peart drum roll or anything, just like do, 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 do. I mean, when you hear that on FM radio on a cranked car stereo, that's fucking powerful. And just that little bit there is probably my favorite part of the whole song.
Amen. Well, I've been talking about Eric Senich all night. He's in the chat. How's it going, Eric? He says, hello, lady and gentlemen. So Eric, if you're just
Holding
joining
it
us,
down.
yeah, you missed the entire show. But we're playing the song that finished number 1 in our rankings. It was your number 3, Eric. It's a favorite of a lot of people on the panel here. It's not that one. It's this one here. 5150. That's right. Number 1, and kind of in a landslide.
Yeah, not a shock.
No, number 2 was Best of Both Worlds at 172 points, 30 points below 5150 at 202 points. 12 people had this one ranked as the number one song on 5150. Its lowest ranking, number 6. One person ranked it 6th. And again, the most votes it got was in first place. 12 folks voted it first. The audience ranking for this one was 3rd. 5150 got 86.9% What Dreams Are Made Of, 13.10% The Dream Is Over. Chris, we're going to start with you because I erroneously almost fucking forgot you on the last one. Tell us your thoughts on 5150. You had this one ranked number 4.
I did. Again, just the 3 songs above it I like more, but I talked earlier about Love Walks In would have been a song that like the Dave era of the band never would have done. This is a kind of song that I could not hear the Dave era of the band doing. 5150. This is their most musically ambitious song that they had done to date by a long shot to my ears. Just really ambitious with the arrangement, just everything about it was like, this is one when the first pass or 2 through the album, everybody's like gravitating to what they like, but I couldn't name a single person who I listened to music with back in the day who, when we were listening to this album and this song came on, everybody was just like slack-jawed at it, like, okay, this is really good. I mean, there's maybe some mixed opinions about some of the stuff that led up to it, but whether you like the musicality, whether you like the lyrics, whether you just like the overall chemistry of the band, this was like a absolute all pieces coming together, gelling, firing on all cylinders, whatever cliche you want to use. I don't know anybody who dislikes this song. I mean, it's just like I said, it was probably their biggest step forward creatively and musically, certainly up to that point. So gotta give big props to them for this one.
Absolutely. And I think you said it best when you said I can't think of anybody who actually dislikes this song. And the person who ranked this 6th, Nate from the Deep Purple podcast, but I can imagine it's only because there was just 5 he slightly liked a little bit better. 5150 is a fucking masterwork. Brad Gould, let's go to you next. You had 5150 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say this to all the, David Lee Roth fans that are Sammy Hagar. Sorry, Buttercup. They're still a good band, and they're fantastic. The rhythm, the drive is a little bit offbeat. Alex is just again crushing it. I keep saying it over again. The harmonies are fantastic, but that solo is insane. It's complex and it's long, and it just totally fits the whole thing. And to me, this song is kind of like an anthem to like the now 30-year-old Van Halen fans, right? They've grown up, and they've evolved. Sammy's range on this, holy crap. I mean, he's out there, particularly in the outro. I think he just screeches at the end of the outro, but he never loses, the quality of his voice when going up there. I mean, this song's just amazing.
Amen. Kevin Brown, 5150, no surprise, your favorite song off this album.
I think it's probably the Van Halen song I've listened to most. Like I said, this was the song that got me into Van Halen. It's a song, it's a memory I share with my best friend growing up who passed away in 2017, so it's got this poignancy as well. I think it's Sam's best lyric in the chorus. Always one more, you're never satisfied, share one for all with you, it's only one for me. It's so cool. Ed's on fire, Al's on fire. You can just see them here when they're sitting down writing this and just trying to one-up each other, especially going through that solo section and just having fun playing off each other and getting off on it, because it just sounds like it's fun. And like you said, I mean, Sam's howl at the end, that scream at the end is just chills. All the hairs on my neck stand up on that one. Yeah. Is it my favorite Van Halen song? It probably is. It probably is. And I know that it's probably not the best Van Halen song, but it's definitely my favorite.
Awesome. Chaz in the chat says 5150 is simply brilliant in its structure from a Guitar Geek standpoint. And Eric Senich points out the Live Without an Ed version of this song is insane. Ed's solo is sick. That's the point I wanted to bring up. The Live Without an Ed version is just fucking killer. Scott Monroe says, yes, Eric, and if Corey has an ounce of joy tonight, he'll spin the solo from Live Without an Ed for us after the talkie-talkie's done. We'll see. We'll see. We're going a little long tonight, but it's kind of hard to turn that down. Kelsey, 5150 for you, ranked number 5.
Yeah, I love this song. But like you said, there's songs that I enjoyed more. I do every time I listen to this, I like remember how much I love it though. But I love the solo on this song, and I love Eddie's playing. I know I say that every single time I hear an Eddie song. I'm like, God, Eddie sounds so good on this. But which is, my favorite thing about him. But yeah, he sounds so good on this. Alex absolutely kills on this. Yeah, it's a powerhouse of a song all around. You can't go wrong with this one either. So yeah.
Awesome. And Mark Meyer, both you and I had this at number 2. For me, it was a very, very close vote between 1 and 2. How about for you? Your number 1, of course, was Dreams, but 5150 ranks second for you.
Dreams, only because of the personal connection that I have with it. It was going to be number 1. It just was, from a personal standpoint. Is 5150 the better song? Arguably, I would say yes. Matter of fact, I would probably say of all the tracks on this album, 5150 I think has the best structure all around. There's a reason why this is the title track, and it really it encompasses everything that I feel is really great about the album, all bundled into this one song. And yes, I reiterate, the Live Without a Net version is insane. It absolutely is. It's fantastic. I wonder if that has a lot of influence on how the voting went on 5150 on this per se, because I know people have that association with the live version, and that just I'm a big proponent of a live show for any band, any artist, musician, whatever, can make or break you, because you can turn fans with a great live show if they've never seen you before, and then you can lose fans with a terrible live show. I think because of people's association with this very famous live show recording of 5150, I think that just enhances people that maybe they already loved Van Halen, and then maybe 5150 was already a good track in their eyes, and then with the addition of this iteration, it just sort of goes, oh man, you know what, that song actually slaps way harder than I thought it did. So it just kind of grows and grows and grows. But I'm not going to argue with anyone who put this as their number 1. Again, it's my number 2 only because of Dreams and my connection there. But 5150 is, I think, without a doubt, one of the best, if not the best, of the Sammy Hagar eras. But just of this album in particular, it's aptly titled.
All right, well, let's check out a little bit of 5150 from Live Without a Net, shall we? I just want to point out to Chris's point about Dreams in the Blue Angels video. Fucking give me a Van Halen performance video, like from for 5150, for Good Enough, for Best of Both Worlds, right? Like that's how you market the band back in 1986. Oh man, if your dick ain't hard, you're either dead or a Genesis fan.
Hey now, hey now.
That's another T-shirt idea.
You know, I was thinking when you're watching that, you know, you listen to Eddie Van Halen, you listen to Van Halen records, and it's mind blowing. But it's when you watch him, really, there's better technical guitarists nowadays, and there's people who've built on what Eddie did and sort of taken it into different spaces. But I don't know there's ever been a more natural guitarist than him. It just looks effortless, everything he's doing, and it's not easy what he's doing, but it just looks like it's just pouring out of him. Like Stevie Ray Vaughan is in that same sort of mold where it just looks like he's not even trying. You know, it's just incredible when you watch him. I love it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I got a little emotional watching that, you know. It's like he's gone, and
Yeah.
you watch that bit and it's just and that's what I was getting at it. You never would have seen something like that in the Dave era if for no other reason than Dave couldn't have kept his mouth shut long enough to allow something like that to go on. You know, it was all about him, and that was part of the fun and the appeal of Dave era Van Halen. But to branch out musically like that, and do that kind of thing on stage night after night, you just never would have gotten that from the Roth era. And then, you know, anybody who's got any doubts about Michael Anthony's ability, just watch that. You know, the guy could play. So even despite even what Eddie said about him in some unfortunate comments, you know, hugely valuable and capable member of the band. And I'm understating his ability by using those terms, but I mean, just that clip right there where they're just being musicians and jamming out that's all you need to see.
And
joyful, isn't it?
The big shit-eating grin on Al's face. By the way, happy belated birthday to Alex Van Halen. I love watching him play with that big ass smile. But Mark and Meyer, we did it. That's it. That's the official rankings for 5150. I know Kelsey had to go because apparently past her bedtime.
Oh, you know, just going a little bit long. But Corey, if you would, one last time, can we see where, or could you, I guess, lift up, see where the rankings left us for 5150?
Oh, sure, I could probably do that for you. All right, so our number 9 song on 5150 was "Inside," to the shock and amazement of no one. And then we had number 8, "Love Walks In." That was kind of a surprise, coming in at number 8. Number 7 was "Get Up," a favorite of a lot on the panel here. Number 6, sorry, that's number 1. Number 6 was "Good Enough." Great opening track for 5150. Came in at number 6. Number 5, "Why Can't This Be Love?" Oh, this isn't even switching on. Fuck, what the hell? There we go. Number 4, I know. I hate OBS. Where are we here? Man, everything's falling apart.
This is my fault.
I need an ALB cut here. Number 4 was "Dreams." Number 3 was "Summer Nights." Number 2, "Best of Both Worlds." And, of course, number 1, we finished off with the legendary 5150. And a great live cut. Thank you for everyone in the chat for recommending that we play a little snippet of the Live Without a Net version. And here's the part in the show where I once again call for Van Halen to release an updated remaster of Live Without a Net, not only on like Blu-ray, but on vinyl and CD and all formats as well, because that is just an amazing, amazing live show.
You need to make that a Bernie Sanders meme. Like, I am once again asking for the release.
Live Without a Net, yes, sir.
Do that. Maybe we'll Kevin, make that a shirt. That'll be fun.
There we go.
Corey.
Done.
Make it just for Corey. But yeah, there you go. The rankings of 5150. I know a lot of people were excited. They were excited about this particular show, so I hope we delivered. I hope the rankings were to your likings. If they weren't, let us know. Go at us on Twitter and Facebook. Let us know your rankings of 5150. And if you need to get a hold of our socials, Podcast Will Rock on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Go to podcastwillrock.com to find links to all those socials, as well as the merch store. As we've been talking about shirt ideas and everything like that. There's There's all sorts of great designs in our merch store. Go on over there, get you a shirt, get you a hoodie. Maybe not a hoodie because it's getting warmed up, but you could do that. Get you a tank top. How about that? They're very accommodating at T Public. So head on over, check that out. Plus, all the backlog episodes will be there. Not to mention a link to the Patreon. And if you're on the Patreon, you could have joined us here on the panel. So that, little small perks like that, little perks that keep the lights going for me, keep the lights on for me and Corey over here, but also fun for you guys because it's fun for us as well. We get to interact with you guys. We get to interact with people such as Brad Gould joining us on the show, man. Brad, honored guest, honored patron, extension of the show, honorary panelist. Always a good time having you on. Love hearing your takes on Van Halen. Thank you for being on this particular show, man. So tell the people what you got going on, where they can find you if you want.
Sure. No, thank you. Always appreciate being on. What you got? I've said it before. I'll say it again. What you guys do is amazing, and I can't believe the journey is almost over. And Kevin, what you do for these guys and how you've done several of the shows now, just awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing Wolfgang play Sunday night. My wife, bless her heart, for Mother's Day is going to go catch a Wolfgang with 498 of our closest friends at a little arena down in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm going to catch they're playing the opening show for the Sammy Hagar Best of Both Worlds tour is a few miles from my home, so I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Nice.
And I think I showed last time. I'm a tax lawyer. Nobody cares about that. But if you feel like looking at cocktails and barbecue, at PSL Shutterbug on Instagram is where you can find me.
Cocktails and barbecue. That's perfect for the summer season.
Listen,
so.
if anybody asks me what I do, I say I'm a tax lawyer that looks like a fat alcoholic on their social media, and you can go there and see me eating and drinking. So there you go.
Go check out Brad. It's good stuff. Good follow. Appreciate you, man. And we definitely appreciate someone who's kind of half of us appreciate him. The other half, not so much. But Kevin Brown has been such a great contributor to this show, not just with his artistic endeavors with our shirt designs, which are always a blast, lovely, but just his takes and his perspective on the genre of rock music, and in particular Van Halen. So he's one of our long-standing peeps and honorary members of the show, I would say. So Kevin Brown, you're one of the busiest dudes in the podcasting game, so please let the people know what all you've got going on right now.
Well, first of all, yeah, thanks for bringing me back to Van Halen. I say it every time I come on the show. You brought me back to a band that I loved and had kind of forgotten about and got pissed off with and left. So thank you so much. Everyone should go join the Patreon. And also to Scott Monroe and the Lurker, perfectly adequate lurking tonight, Scott. I think you did a perfectly adequate job out there. Yeah, you can check out my other shows, Queen, Seaside Pod Review, Queen Podcast, the Ultimate Catalog Clash that I do with that clown producer there who can't get anything right tonight. He's usually much better on our show. I'll say that. He saves it all up for me.
It's not live. That's why.
Me the good stuff.
That's fair.
And then the Tom Petty Project. So I'm actually going to be down in your neck of the woods, Brad, in October. I'm coming down to Gainesville, Florida for the Tom Petty weekend. That's my first time down that far down south. So I'm going to.
And I told you, you come down here, you need to let me know. I actually think I'll be in Gainesville sometime in October or November, but now I have a reason to go a second time.
That would be wicked cool.
When is it?
10th to the 12th is the actual sort of festival.
Let me know. It's a couple-hour drive for me.
Deadly. Yeah, for sure.
There you go. Beware the Gators when you get down to Gainesville. That's all I will say. And I'm not talking about the football team. Always a fun appearance of Chris L. joining us on the shows, man. He's just like you seem to kind of keep a distance until we're ready to rank an album, and you're just like, nah, I got you, I got this, here we go, let me tell you where these tracks line up. But always a pleasure having you and getting your perspective on this stuff, man. So please let the people know what you got going on, where they can find you.
Yeah, a pleasure to be on. Thanks for inviting me. Van Halen, hugely important band in my life and my musical appreciation. And credit to you guys for picking up the gauntlet and doing this format for the Van Halen catalog. I was waiting for somebody to do it, and you guys did it, and I couldn't imagine anybody else doing it better. So keep up the good. Well, you're almost done with the journey, but I hear you've got plans for the next stage, so I'm looking forward to that. Me, I'm just still doing my thing at potofthunder.com with the Jones brothers. Still having fun with it, still enjoying doing it 11 years in. Episode 559 is coming out on Monday. It's our annual Mother's Day episode with Mama Jones on the panel, and we've got a pretty well-known classic rock anthem that we're going to be discussing on our next episode, so don't miss that one. And just trying to continue to spice things up by bringing guests on and different perspectives and stuff, but all the while sticking to our same format. And like I said, it's still fun for us 11 years in, and just the whole podcast community that we've all built together, that we meet, shows intertwine and cross paths and stuff. It's kind of reminds me of my music career, all the peer bands that you go see their shows and support them. They do the same thing for you, promote each other, support each other. It's really a cool thing. So honored to be a part of it, and glad you guys invited me.
Of course. And we're just happy to have people that actually give two shits about how Corey and I discuss this band, Van Halen. We know that Van Halen has a passionate fan base. It doesn't matter which era. We just know that they are passionate. We are simple fans. We're not experts. We're not rock historians. We have just been rediscovering a band that we enjoy, and it has been a blast. But sadly, all good things must come to an end. Now, that don't mean that the show is ending entirely, but just this one phase, very, very soon, because we are down to the final four tracks of the Van Halen catalog. Almost 3 years in the making, but here we are. With just 4 more tracks left. Corey, do you have any final words before we would depart? And are you feeling a sense of sadness or completion?
I really am, and I know that we have plans for season 4 and beyond. We're going to be doing this for a little while yet, but I'm so thankful, especially for Chris, because I'm such a huge fan of Pot of Thunder, and I just love that show so much. I listen to it every week, and through that show, I've rediscovered a love for Kiss and bands I'd never heard of before, like Mother's Finest. You just did a show with Tom Werman on Mother's Finest, and that fucking song ripped. It was fantastic. You did a great song this week from the Donnas. Just fantastic stuff. You guys continue to knock it out of the park every single week. And, of course, Kevin Brown, the Wiggum Wingnut, he's kind of the wingnut that holds the whole podcast together. He keeps us coming back for more. Thank you so much. And Brad Gould, one of the great patrons who helps keep the lights on here and keeps us engaged. We didn't know if we would continue on past Van Halen, but thanks to viewers like Brad, we're going to keep on going. So far, we've got Eat 'em and Smile and Montrose on a wheel for next season. What's going to join it? We'll know next week, and we'll let you know, as we have 4 songs left on the wheel. We wouldn't have picked probably these 4 songs to be the final 4, but we have Amsterdam, Aftershock, Atomic Punk, and The Trouble with Never are the last 4 songs on the wheel. And if you like our live shows, guess what? We're doing it again 2 weeks from tonight. It's 1984. So anybody who wants to be on that show, let me know. 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to be doing 1984 and doing the rankings for that one. So after 1984, then comes, I believe it's Diver Down, and then Van Halen 3, which we just knocked off last week by finally covering Josephina. So stay tuned. We got 4 songs left on the wheel. We got a ton of live shows, and then Kevin Brown's going to help us wrap the whole thing up, middle of July, I believe it is. So stay tuned. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up.
Yes, it is vastly approaching. Just to reiterate, it's business as usual. Next week, we spin a wheel, and then we'll be down to 3 songs. And then after that, we do, as Corey said, we go live once again to talk 1984. So we're almost done, but we're not quite there because we still have a few albums to discuss. There's still a couple of tracks left to spin. You're not getting rid of us so soon, so easily. So we are going to be attached to your ear holes for as long as we possibly can. And all we ask is that you just tune in. And if you want to, and you should, share it. Let your friends know. I'm sure you got friends that like Van Halen. Maybe someone introduced you to Van Halen one time and you go, hey, you should check out this podcast. These dudes really like to talk about Van Halen. So share it around. Let the people know what we got going on. Though we're ending this phase of the show, it's not the complete end. We're still going at it. So go on over to our Patreon, join up, be privy to all of the really cool stuff that we have coming up on the pipeline, and be sure to tune in week after week because we're not done yet. On behalf of everyone on the call, on the panel tonight, we are, and the podcast will rock, and we will